Welcome to the Whole Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you become a fat burner, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Hey guys, it's Debbie Potts, your host of the Whole Athlete Podcast, and today I'm doing a new episode of my Thursday edition, Real Thoughts with Debbie Potts, where I discuss items and thoughts and observations of life this week. And today I'm going to talk about training to be a low-carb, fat-adapted athlete, and how you can do fasted workouts. And we're going to dive into a little bit how we need to stop, pause, and reboot occasionally throughout the day. So starting with fasting. Today it is 3:30 p.m. and I have not eaten a meal yet. Why is that? Well, I've done metabolic efficiency, low carb, high fat fueling for 10 years or more. And I've been doing intermittent fasting for some time without trying. And this past year, I've been doing more 16-hour fasts. And a great way to get started with fasting is stop eating 3 hours before bed. One, I started doing this because if I eat late at night and then I go to bed, which, you know, I go to bed early because I get up early, but I'm at 8 p.m. I'm yawning. It's bedtime for me. So for me, 3 hours before bed would stop eating at 5 p.m. If I eat and go to bed, I can't sleep very well. My sleep is not very good. Now, I still do not have an Oura ring. Someday someone will just send me one. But I know my sleep, deep sleep, is not as good, not a good quality sleep when I eat before bed. So doing this newer trick for me is stop eating 3 hours before bed. Dr. Mercola talks a lot about this in his Fat for Fuel book and his keto fasting book that I just finished reading. So stop eating is your first thing. Now that's easy to do a 12-hour fast, to do it from time you stop eating the night before overnight until you start eating. So if you stop eating at 7, you don't eat till 7 a.m. the next day. That's pretty easy. So then I want you to work up towards a 16-hour fast. Now for me, I can have in the morning, kind of technically fasting, depends on which fasting rules you go by, how strict you are. To do cell autophagy fasting, you probably just want only water. But I have a cup of coffee in the morning. I make Kion coffee, which I just did a video. So go to my debbiepotts.net/blog page. And you'll see tons of blogs. I've been writing a lot lately. Good inspiration after the low carb keto cruise that I was speaking at the conference. And just, you'll find the Kion coffee, how to make French press coffee. And so I do that in the morning, and I have a little bit of heavy cream in it, not that much, but technically fasting, real fasting, you just have black organic coffee and water. So I'm kind of fasting, but not fasting. I have that in the morning. So today, every day, my work schedule is different, as I still own a fitness studio. Until this year, I'll be closing it. And I have different client schedule each day. Now, I used to work, if you read my book, Life is Not a Race, and if you're on the low carb cruise, I was explaining my typical day. I was at work at 5 in the morning, getting ready to train clients. Well, nowadays, my schedule is finally a little bit lighter or more flexible. So I can work out in the morning, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. I'll go lift weights fasted and just have a little bit of coffee, a few sips on my way to the club where I work out, and do a lifting session with sometimes cardio sprints more on Wednesdays. I'll add little treadmill sprints. So I can go fasted and do that type of workout. Now it's summertime and it's light in the morning. So Friday mornings, I don't want to take clients until 8 a.m. so I can work out in the morning at the club, or now it's summer, it's lighter. I can ride my bike with my husband at 5:30 in the morning until 7. So right now I'm doing this on a Friday. I rode my bike an hour and a half this morning, 5:30 to about 7. and I did some hills in there. So my heart rate wasn't necessarily max aerobic function. I try to keep it 120 to 130. But going up the hills, I did a little bit of higher heart rate intervals and then recovery on the hills. So I had 2 big hills and came back home. So that was a fasted workout. I took water, a little bit of coffee this morning, and I took Kion amino capsules. And then after my bike ride, I showered and got ready for my work day. I had clients at 8 a.m., so I just had the rest of my coffee, and I had water. And I had some real salt or Himalayan sea salt, or you can get, I tried the Elements by Rob Wolf, which we're going to do a podcast with Rob Wolf soon on electrolytes, that they have a great little magnesium, potassium, and sodium little packets you can put in your water. So today I just did real salt. And Keto Chow, I just met those guys last week. They have a great electrolyte drops. They have fasting drops and magnesium drops. So I'll give them a shout out. So that was my morning. Then I had clients, and then I have a client at 10:30 in the morning that I run walk with. And so we go by his heart rate and do today we did 4-minute run, 1-minute walk, and use that recovery time, then heart rate up. So that was 5 miles. And then I must say, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, I work out a little more. Tuesday, Thursdays, I just do one workout, a bike ride. But on Fridays, I swim masters at noon. Now, I'm not training for any triathlon right now, so I'm not as picky and serious and anal as I used to be about being in the pool right at 12 o'clock. So I started the swim practice, missed the warm-up, and I started 10 after 12. So I did 50-minute swim workout, more aerobic. I was doing more paddles and working on my form today, so it wasn't an anaerobic hard workout for me. Then I had some Zoom conference calls with clients, and now I felt inspired to talk to you, doing a podcast. I haven't eaten yet today. Now, I don't suggest you start doing this fasting right away. You need to flip that switch from being a sugar burner to fat burner, and that takes 2-3 weeks to a month or more for some people, depending on how carb dependent you are and how metabolically damaged you've created eating a high sugar diet for years. So fasting for me, especially this last year since I started being more aware of intermittent fasting, during the weekdays when I'm working becomes very easy to do intermittent fasting. Obviously today I've been fasting more than 16 hours, but that depends on the day that I do this. So Wednesday, Fridays, I typically don't get home or done meetings and appointments until 4 o'clock. Then that main meal ends up being 1 meal a day. So then I stop eating before bed. It's Friday night, so I will not be as strict on the weekends doing the 3 hours before bed or a different schedule. But weekdays, I just try to keep this up. And this is what I teach people in my 30-day total body transformation program and my 5-day jumpstart challenge. Starting in October, I will be running these challenges every month and just taking 10 people at a time through this program, this process of becoming fat adapted. Stay tuned for my new ebook that I'm working on when I get to a hotel room where I can focus and not have any appointments. And on airplane works really well for me to write on airplanes. But I have a low carb athlete ebook that I'm working on, how you become a fat adapted athlete. And a side note, if you notice my social media, Instagram, I changed it to the low carb athlete, and I created a Facebook page called Low Carb Athlete where you can find research articles. So I'll just post everything podcast related to the Whole Athlete podcast, but I just needed a place to build up Low Carb Athlete. So I've been putting research articles that I find as I write my ebook, I put them on to Low Carb Athlete. So I also posted the videos that I recorded from our low carb keto cruise with Jimmy Moore and gang last week. And then I am going to KetoCon, so I'll do some Facebook Live and Instagram Live videos there as well. And then I can save them and I'll put them to our Low Carb Athlete Facebook page. So my goal is to help teach athletes, help coach people of all athletic abilities to become fat adapted, to burn fat, metabolic efficiency, metabolic flexibility. So we're fat burners, but we switch to burn carbohydrates as needed. That's metabolic efficiency. And then our flexibility is we're able to go from fat to carbs back to fat burning. If you're a sugar burner, you're not switching back and forth. You're metabolically inflexible. So we should be feeding that fire, that metabolism with big fat, slow burning logs, not having to feed that fire with kindling that we have to keep feeding it. So if you go back to how we were raised, that we had 3 meals a day, snack, well, you're just putting yourself in that blood sugar roller coaster, especially if you're eating a high carbohydrate diet where you're always hungry because you're having that blood sugar go up high and then it drops back low, and you're having that insulin being released. That basically, I think of it as a fat storing hormone. So fasting is a great way to start having your body learn or relearn how to metabolize fat for fuel. So again, going back to what I said in the beginning, starting with a 12-hour overnight fast, build up to 16 hours. And what does that leave you with? An 8-hour feeding window or time restricted eating. So when we're doing our coaching program that I'm running online, I talk to clients and teach them how to eat in that 8-hour window. And we're doing our 5-day jumpstart challenge. We're just basically eating one big meal. And then the rest of the time, bone broth. We have some keto shakes. I've been using Keto Feast, but we might try the Keto Chow guys because I like their products and I like their company and philosophy. And bone broth, Bonafide Provisions, I really like their company. I'm not a big fan of Kettle on Fire anymore because if you do the bone broth challenge, you put your bone broth, if you have leftover that you heated up, put it in a mug and put it in the refrigerator. And if it's not solid and gelatinous, it's not a good source of bone broth. The gelatin's not there. So you want to have that, when it gets in the refrigerator and gets cold, that bone broth should be thick, like Jell-O. So you have to put it in a pot and reheat it, not in the microwave, but on the stovetop to reheat that bone broth. That's a good quality bone broth. Shouldn't be liquidy when it's in the fridge. So anyways, we do the bone broth. We do a Keto Feast shake from Dr. Axe or perhaps Primal Nutrition. They have a collagen shake, and add some MCT oil in that if you need a little more fat, because the Keto Feast has a lot of fat and the Keto Chow high fat. But if you have another shake, as some of the other ones out there, they're not really high fat. So look at the ingredients, look at the carbohydrates. And what I learned is last week, a lot of Dr. Barry's conversations and Dr. Eric Westman spoke about that we shouldn't look at net carbs, look at total carbs. So I know a lot of people were talking about net carbs, or your total carbs minus the fiber, and that equals your net carbs. And we should go by that. Get our carbs around 50 grams a day to 20 grams for some people that are more metabolically damaged or have some health issues that they really need to lower those carbohydrates to get more into serious nutritional ketosis. But if you are more active, endurance athletes too, and if you're exercising a lot, well, even Spartan racing and high intensity interval, you're burning through a lot of carbohydrates, even more if you're interval high intensity race athlete. But your carbohydrates total grams per day will vary per person, as it always depends on you, your bio individual, and your genetics and your lifestyle habits. Because if you listen to my seminar I did last week, chronic stress impacts the whole you, including your ability to burn fat, optimize health, your mitochondria health, and your performance gains in life and your sport. So having good nutrition is important. Fasting is an easier way to get some ketones showing. If you use Keto Mojo, you'll be able to see if you get 0.5 to 3.0 on your keto meter. I use Keto Mojo with clients. And then testing your blood sugar, seeing if we're able to keep it stable if you do it in the morning, first thing fasted blood sugar, and then perhaps after your main meal that you eat, and then later in the day to see how your blood sugar regulation is. So the next thing I would have people do when I'm coaching them to become fat adapted and learn how to do fasting is having that right size of meal. When you eat that big meal, make sure it's lots of good, healthy fats, good quality sourced animal meat. I know most everyone last week was doing carnivore and had to tell carnivore, like Danny Vega. And yuck. It's just, I'm not a meat person, and to have organ meat burger, they're trying to get me to get into that. I understand the benefits. I'm going to interview Danny coming up, but I stopped eating most meat starting back when I was 12 years old. I blame it on Kentucky Fried Chicken, gnawing on a drumstick and realizing, what is that black vein on there? What is that sinewy ligaments, gross stuff I was chewing on? So I have not eaten most meat since I was 12 or 13 years old. So switching to being more carnivore is a process, and I'll be needing to be brainwashed and have to hide food. But I can eat chicken and turkey and fish if it doesn't look like it's from an animal, so not eating off the bone and not seeing the skin and the body part. That grosses me out. So carnivore, if you have grass-fed source meat, organic, free-range chicken, wild-caught salmon, fishes, anchovies, sardines, those are a good quality fish with good fats. But think you don't really overeat steak or a ribeye, prime rib, whatever meat you have. It's hard to overeat it. So the carnivores, they're getting their nutrients. If you're doing head to tail, you're getting tons of the vitamins and minerals from those organ meats. And if you can tolerate that, I would give it a try. And they don't eat any vegetables, so it's a little different. I think it's a whole another topic we're going to do on a future podcast, but not eating any vegetables because you're being so strict being a carnivore, I kind of believe that is just another diet. And to me, how I'm coaching my clients and what I'm speaking about at conferences is that it's a mindset, it's a lifestyle, not a diet. So these people that are experimenting being low carb, high fat, trying to get nutritional ketosis, they quit because they're making it too strict in a diet. And the way I'm coaching individuals and in our group programs, I'm doing more online, is creating new eating habits in relationship to food, and doing the fasting, the time restricted eating really helps that relationship and helps your body burn fat, become fat adapted, but also knowing that it's okay to have some broccoli or a side of asparagus or cauliflower, not feel guilty that we're having some good quality vegetables. Then we're pouring olive oil or some grass-fed butters, Kerrygold butter on top. But I found, like, even last week, I felt ashamed that I was having vegetables, which ironically, it's always the other way, but it's carnivore is my point, is great if you're doing head to tail and it's good source, or else you're eating a lot of toxins. So I would make sure if you're doing carnivore keto that you are getting good quality meats. So you have to pay a little more, but if you're going to eat that way, you don't want to fill your body up with toxins and overload your liver. And remember, fat cells are stored, or toxins are stored in your fat cells. So we need to talk about that sometime as well. Detoxification, and a binder in there as chlorella, I think it is, and bentonite clay and activated charcoal are good binders to have when you start doing a detoxification program and you start losing a lot of fat. As you become a fat burning machine, you're also depleting those toxins, releasing those toxins in your body. So you need an escort to take them out through your bile. So having something that they can glue onto as activated charcoal, bentonite clay is a great thing to add in. So that's just a side note, but eating real food that balances your blood sugar is my point. And if you want to really work on becoming a fat burning machine, cut those carbs lower and find out where you're full, where your tipping point is of your carbohydrate tolerance, where your blood sugar is staying stable and you're showing ketones over time. It might not happen right away, but your body will start to adapt to not having that glycogen stored in your muscles and your liver. And you'll start to shift to alternative fuel and train your body to burn ketones and fuel your brain, your heart, your muscles with the fat and ketones. So it's pretty amazing. I'm just fascinated by all this research, and That's kind of why I want to do this more than training my clients every day, because I love them. But, I really want to just train clients twice a week and then focus on building this low carb athlete program and how to be fat adapted with my program called the Holistic Method, because as we're discussing every day is that it's not just what you eat, low carb, high fat, getting in nutritional ketosis, being carnivore head to tail. It's also about your stress, your sleep, your exercise, your movement, mobility, your digestion and your gut health, your hydration levels, making sure we get those electrolytes, those minerals, and my favorite one is happiness, being grateful, not being so serious and uptight, letting loose and laughing, giggling, hysterical, just playing and just letting your guard down. I think we're so type A personality to triple A personality that we forget to just let loose. And that's what I did for so many years. I shared that in my book, Life is Not a Race. If you read the chapter on the party bus where I finally let my guard down, I paid for it dearly for a whole week. You can read that in my book. But it is, I think we get so wrapped up into life that we forget to breathe and enjoy the journey. So that leads me to my last topic to wrap up this special Thursday edition of Real Thoughts with Debbie Potts is take time for you. Put the oxygen mask on first. I think so many people don't do that. And I know clients wanted me to do this 5-day jump start. School's getting out. It's a busy time of year. And I was making sure we have 10 people do the program. And I had someone say, I don't have time. It's not a good time. I've got this and this going on. And I always think those are excuses. You have time to take care of you. There's never a time in life that we're not overly busy and got too much going on. I don't understand how we don't have time to take a week to focus on sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night, how we can focus on not eating 3 hours before bed, how we can not have time to wake up and go outside and walk and get light exposure and move more during the day. That's what the Holistic Method program is about. And I have a whole book on Amazon that I haven't really promoted, but it's a chapter on each of those 8 elements and a workbook to work on the inner you, work on your core. And then I have my program in there. So I'm going to update all that because I'm going to switch the program around. So we start with a 21-day reset, and then we'll go to the 5-day fasting, because I find a lot of people are too carbohydrate dependent to just shift into this jumpstart fat loss challenge. So we're going to work on switching that around this October when I'll start running it online. So going back to you putting the oxygen mask on first, what I was telling someone today, and this was actually regarding a high school student, that we're so busy all day long. So as I always say, we get up in the morning and we don't stop until nighttime. Well, a tip I thought I should share with you today is just taking time out, 5 minutes, 3 minutes. Be still, be quiet, do nothing but breathe. Breathe through your nose, relax, exhaling out, and just pause. Reset, reboot, and recalibrate the whole you from the inside out. Now, I just know this because I had to do this today. I went for my bike ride. I got started working on a blog. I'm like, crap, I got to hurry up and put my makeup and do my hair because I need to get to work, and there's more traffic this time of morning. And I got to my studio, and I don't like to panic and feel rushed, so I have to stop and pause myself. And then I had clients back to back. I had a 5-day jumpstart seminar, and then I had run with my client. Then I went to swimming, and then I had a 1:30 meeting at 2 o'clock and a 3 o'clock. What do I have to do in between that? Just think of it as a triathlon. You have a transition period before you go from the swim to the bike. You have a transition T2, which is going from the bike to the run, and then you finish your day. Well, think of that as your daily life. In between my appointments, if I could just take 5 minutes or even 1 minute, if that's all you have, it's better than nothing to stop even lie down on the ground, lie on a sofa. Just stop and be still, be quiet. And you'll be able to feel that shift from running from the lion, being in that sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight. I can feel it in my body. I feel that adrenaline. I feel myself get tense and anxious and just feel this completely different emotion. And then I know I need to stop, breathe, sit still, and do nothing before I move on to the next event, to the next appointment, to the next meeting, to the next workout. Just try it yourself and see how you feel. It doesn't have to take a long time. You don't have to be meditating. You can just be still, quiet your mind, and just breathe through your nose, in and out very slowly, focusing on a long, letting it go exhale. And reboot and continue on to your next event, next meeting. And then next hour, before you go on to something else, stop and do it again. Try it. Before you go to bed, measure your heart rate variability or stop and just lie down and relax. I do that before I come home from training clients 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. Then I have a podcast, and then I used to rush out for my bike ride. Well, now I sit, or sometimes I lie on my bed for 10, 15 minutes and have this mini nap and reset before I go for my bike ride. You can tell if you listen to your body's signals, listen to those red flags. If you pay attention to you, your body, and your mind, you'll get these same signals. I think for so many years, I myself ignored those red flags and I didn't know about them. And that's what I'm preaching to you now, everything that I've learned from my own mistakes, from my own errors. And I shared all this in my book, Life is Not a Race, that I keep talking about. And I've been on different podcasts. Brad Kearns has had a great conversation he and I did, well, it was last fall, but it just came out on his show that you can go back and listen to. And I just want to help you stop living life as a race and enjoy it. Make each day to the fullest and not rush so much, especially these high school kids. I hear about these kids every day doing so much. And when high school kids tell me that they have a lot of stress, it hurts because I know they're going to have even more later in life. So they're damaging themselves now and then creating that metabolic dysfunction, metabolic chaos as they get older. So please share this podcast with someone else that you care about. Maybe they could use this information. If you can go to Amazon and get my book and the manual, that would be great. Just search for Debbie Potts. And you can find me on Instagram, Low Carb Athlete, and check out our Facebook page that I'll keep posting stuff daily as much as I can because I don't like being on social media 10 hours a day like a lot of people are. I have to practice what I preach and set those limits as well. But Facebook, we've got the Low Carb Athlete page for the research, and then, of course, the Whole Athlete podcast page. So love to hear from you. Give me feedback. Give me your questions to add on a Thursday episode. And we've got tons of guests coming up from the low carb keto cruise that I met, my new friends and family. I'm going to KetoCon, so I'll meet some more people. And I feel so blessed to Jimmy Moore and Christine having me as a speaker on their conference cruise. And I'll be there next year, May 2020, if you want to join us. It was amazing. And just to feel part of this new family, this tribe where you feel that people get you and sharing your story and helping other people and just following your heart and your purpose in life, I think is really essential to do. So let me know what you think. If you want to join in my 5-day fat loss jumpstart challenge, let me know. I've got some other listeners doing the program now. We just meet on Zoom, video conference call, and then we talk in the week during the program. Email or text is what most people do, and we do a couple Zoom check-in calls as well. So join in the next one or take the 30-day challenge. We'll be doing it monthly starting in October. Or some individual coaching if you have some main health concerns that we need to address individually. And I'll be doing lab testing and all that as I finish the FDN practitioner program and put it all together with DNA Fit, nutritional therapy, practitioner work, and just the Holistic Method lifestyle coaching program. So really training the whole you from the inside out with the Holistic Method. All right. I hope to hear from you, and we'll talk to you next week. Okay. Enjoy your day and do something that makes you laugh today. Be silly and let that guard down, because I know I need to do that as well more often and just have fun more often. All right. Enjoy the journey.
Thanks for listening to the Whole Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at wholeathletepodcast.com. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.